Airport security is getting stricter in 2026, and some everyday items can now get you stopped instantly, even if you didn't think you were doing anything wrong. The surprising part is that many travelers carry these items all the time, completely unaware they could trigger extra screening, delays, or even confiscation. In this video, we'll reveal 8 items that TSA officers are paying close attention to, and why bringing them through the airport could slow down your entire trip. Make sure you watch until the end, because some of these are things most people pack without thinking. Power banks and lithium batteries. One of the most common items that can get you stopped at airport security is something many travelers carry every day: power banks and lithium batteries. These devices are essential for keeping your phone, tablet, or laptop charged during travel, especially on long flights. However, they also come with strict regulations that many people don't fully understand. Lithium batteries can pose a fire risk if they are damaged, overheated, or stored incorrectly. Because of this, airport security takes them very seriously. TSA officers are trained to look closely at power banks, especially if they appear unusually large, unmarked, or poorly packaged. One common mistake travelers make is packing power banks inside checked luggage. In most cases, these items are only allowed in carry-on bags, and placing them in checked baggage can lead to your bag being flagged or even removed from the aircraft. Another issue is carrying multiple power banks without realizing there may be limits depending on their capacity. If a power bank looks suspicious or exceeds certain limits, it may trigger additional screening. To avoid delays, it's important to keep your power banks easily accessible in your carry-on and ensure they are in good condition. What seems like a simple travel essential can quickly become a reason for extra inspection if not handled properly. Liquids over the limit with a twist. Most travelers are familiar with the basic liquid rules at airport security, but many still get stopped because of small details they overlook. The standard rule is simple: liquids should be in small containers and placed in a clear bag. However, the way items are packed and presented can make a big difference. One common mistake is carrying containers that appear larger than allowed, even if they are only partially filled. TSA officers don't just look at how much liquid is inside, they also consider the size of the container itself. Another issue is forgetting about less obvious liquids, such as creams, gels, or even certain food items. Things like peanut butter, sauces, or cosmetic products can fall under liquid restrictions, and travelers are often surprised when these items are flagged. In addition, how your liquids are packed matters. If they are buried deep inside your bag instead of being easily accessible, it can slow down the screening process and lead to additional checks. Staying organized and following the rules carefully can help you move through security more smoothly. Even small mistakes with liquids can lead to unnecessary delays, especially during busy travel times. Medications without labels. Carrying medication while traveling is common, but doing it incorrectly can sometimes lead to unexpected delays at airport security. One of the biggest issues is transporting medication without proper labeling. While it may seem convenient to place pills in a small container or organizer, this can make it harder for security officers to identify what you're carrying. When medications are not clearly labeled, they may require additional screening to confirm that they are safe and allowed. This process can take time, especially if there are multiple items involved. Another factor is carrying large quantities of medication without any documentation. While this doesn't automatically mean there is a problem, it can raise questions that lead to further inspection. It's also important to consider that different countries may have different rules regarding certain medications, which can add another layer of complexity during travel. Keeping medications in their original packaging, when possible, can help make the screening process smoother. What seems like a small convenience can sometimes lead to extra attention at security checkpoints if not handled carefully. Food items that trigger checks. Food is another category that can unexpectedly get travelers stopped at airport security. While many types of food are allowed, some items can raise questions depending on how they look or how they are packed. Foods that are dense, thick, or have unusual textures can sometimes appear unclear on scanning equipment. This can lead to additional inspection to ensure everything is safe. Items like spreads, sauces, or certain homemade foods may also fall under liquid or gel restrictions, which can surprise many travelers. In some cases, Even packaged food can be flagged if it appears unusual or if the contents are not easily identifiable. Another factor is how the food is stored. If it's tightly packed or mixed with other items, it can make the screening process more complicated. To avoid delays, it's helpful to keep food items clearly visible and separated from other belongings when possible. Even though food may seem harmless, it can still lead to extra checks depending on the situation. Electronics packed incorrectly. Electronics are a normal part of travel, but how they are packed can affect how quickly you move through airport security. Devices like laptops, tablets, and cameras are often required to be removed from bags during screening. If they are difficult to access, it can slow down the process and draw extra attention. Another issue is packing multiple electronics together in a way that makes them harder to identify on scanning equipment. This can sometimes result in additional inspection to get a clearer view of the contents. Chargers, cables, and accessories can also contribute to this problem if they are tangled or packed tightly around devices. Keeping electronics organized and easy to remove can help make the process smoother. Even though these items are allowed, poor packing can still lead to delays at security. Sharp, everyday objects. Some of the items that get travelers stopped at airport security aren't unusual or suspicious at all. They're everyday objects that people simply forget are in their bags. Small sharp items are one of the most common examples. Things like scissors, nail clippers with pointed edges, multi-tools, or even certain grooming kits can easily be packed without a second thought. These items are part of daily routines, which is exactly why they're often overlooked when preparing for a trip. The issue is that airport security doesn't just look at how an item is used in everyday life. They consider how it could potentially be used in a different context. Even small or seemingly harmless sharp objects may fall under restrictions depending on their size, shape, or design. Many travelers only realize they have these items when their bag goes through the scanner and gets flagged. This can lead to delays, as the bag may need to be opened and inspected manually. In some cases, the item may need to be removed before you can proceed. Another common situation is when these objects are buried deep inside a bag, making them harder to locate during inspection. This can extend the process even further and cause unnecessary stress, especially when you're trying to catch a flight. To avoid this, it's a good idea to double-check your bag before heading to the airport, especially if you use items like these regularly. What seems like a small oversight can quickly turn into a delay at security if you're not aware of what you're carrying. Wrapped gifts. Bringing gifts through the airport is very common, especially during holidays or special occasions. However, one mistake many travelers make is wrapping those gifts before going through security. While wrapping a gift in advance might seem convenient, it can actually create problems during the screening process. Airport security needs to be able to clearly see what's inside every item that passes through the scanner. If something appears unclear or requires further inspection, the package may need to be opened. This can be frustrating, especially if you've taken the time to carefully wrap a present. In some cases, security officers may have no choice but to unwrap the item to confirm that it's safe. Another issue is that certain gift items themselves may fall under restrictions, depending on what they are. If the contents are not immediately identifiable, it increases the chances of additional checks. Travelers often don't realize this until they're already at the checkpoint, which can slow down the process and create unnecessary delays. A simple way to avoid this is to keep gifts unwrapped until after you pass through security. You can always wrap them later at your destination or use gift bags that can be easily opened and closed. It's a small adjustment, but it can make your experience at the airport much smoother. Planning ahead in this way helps you avoid unexpected interruptions during your journey. Suspicious-looking everyday items. The final category includes items that are completely normal but can still draw attention during airport screenings simply because of how they appear. Airport scanners are designed to detect shapes, densities, and materials, not intentions. This means that even harmless objects can sometimes look unusual depending on how they are packed or what they are made of. For example, items with dense materials, unusual shapes, or layered components may not be immediately clear on the screen. When this happens, security officers may need to take a closer look to understand exactly what they're seeing. This doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the item. It simply means that it requires additional inspection. However, This extra step can slow you down, especially during busy travel periods. Another factor is how items are arranged inside your bag. When multiple objects overlap or are tightly packed together, it can make it harder for scanners to provide a clear image. This increases the likelihood that your bag will be flagged for a manual check. Travelers are often surprised when everyday items lead to delays, but it's usually due to how those items appear during screening rather than what they actually are. Keeping your bag organized and avoiding overly cluttered packing can help reduce this risk. Being aware of how your belongings might appear during security checks can make a noticeable difference in how smoothly you move through the airport. Airport security is designed to keep travelers safe, but understanding how certain items are viewed can help you move through the process more smoothly. By being aware of these common triggers, you can avoid delays and make your travel experience much easier. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more travel tips and airport insights.